Regent Seven Seas Cruises Explorer Class Accommodations, a cruisinwithted.com production.
This is Cruisin' with Ted, and you may have watched some of our special presentations already. Today we're going to address Regent Seven Seas Explorer Class, okay? And we have the opportunity to speak to Nicole Castillo. She's the Business Development Manager for Regent Seven Seas Cruisers. Take it away, Nicola.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ted. I appreciate you inviting me to chat with you here for a bit and talk about the wonderful wide range accommodations that we have on our Explorer class ships. So just for some clarification, because I know some of you may be wondering what ships fall within the Explorer class, and these are our newer class vessels. So it would be our Seven Seas Explorer, our Seven Seas Splendor, and our Seven Seas Grandeur, which is our newest ship, accommodations that I'm going to be going over today with all of you. So we'll go ahead and get started. This here. So I do want to mention I'm going through all the various categories today, Ted, and I have an image of the suite itself as well as the layout so you can see it and the amenities that correspond with each category. But keep in mind we are all suite accommodations, and on the Explorer class ships we're all balcony suite accommodations as well. So starting off, I don't even like to use the word minimum because there's nothing minimum about this category, but this is the Veranda suite category, which is technically the lead-in category on our Explorer class ships. But the reason I say there's nothing lead-in about this is because the square footage on this particular suite is about 219 square feet, with the Veranda being another about 88 square feet. So a nice spacious accommodation for being at the minimum. And as you can see in the layout, this particular accommodation, you come into the suite and right on the left, you have the bathroom. This particular accommodation does not have a tub. It's just a large shower. And then also as you walk through the suite, you'll notice there is a European king size bed, as well as right next to the bed, you have the closet. The closet's not a walk-in closet in this accommodation, but it does have the sliding door. And then as you continue to walk through this particular suite, you'll see there's a nice little living area with a couch, and then a door that will lead into the very spacious veranda. How about the amenities, Ted? Are you curious about those?
Yeah,
I know.
Before you talk about, this is Ted, of course. On the veranda, I don't know if you mentioned what's on the veranda, and on some cruise lines, there's a separation between them. Is there any allowance for side-by-side rooms to share the same veranda?
Unfortunately, no. We can't pull out partitions from the veranda to make it to share it with guests that are in the accommodation next to you. But typically on the veranda, you're going to have, depending on the size of the veranda, this particular one will have a tabletop for two outside in the veranda. Then the larger the veranda will have lounge chairs out there as well. And I'll mention the categories in which we'll have that option. Okay,
just one more question. So when you look out at the ocean straight out, is there any obstruction? Is it glass? Do we have to look out for obstructions? Because sometimes I put people on the ships and they're, it's not going to work.
That's a good question. That's a good question because it's important when you're booking, these beautiful accommodations that when you step outside your balcony, there's no obstruction. None of our accommodations on the Explorer class ships have any obstruction. So it will be a glass out in the veranda that you can see through the ocean.
Okay.
No lifeboats or anything like that.
Yeah, I brought, something pops up every once in a while and like, oops.
That's a good question. Yeah, absolutely. Now let's just jump into the amenities in this veranda suite category. You will receive everything from unlimited Wi-Fi. And keep in mind that a recent enhancement that we did on board our ships because of the Starlink technology that we added, this particular category used to only have one login, one device, but we've made an enhancement where now it is 2 logins up to 2 devices in this category. Everything from valet laundry service to, of course, your bath amenities, things like hair and dryer are found in this particular suite accommodation.
Okay.
Moving along to our deluxe veranda suite categories, this is going to be your G1s, G2 accommodations. You'll notice this is slightly larger as far as the living area than the veranda suites. So the living area on these categories is about 253 square feet, with the veranda being very similar to the veranda suites, being 88 square feet. But the main difference between this category and the veranda suite category is that this one does have a walk-in closet. So as you walk into the room, you'll notice you'll still have the bathroom here to the right with an oversized shower. But instead of having that closet next to the bed with a sliding door, you actually have a very spacious walk-in closet. So that's going to be the main difference between those 2 accommodations and the reasoning behind the slightly larger square footage. And then we move on to our Serenity suites. And these are going to be your F1, F2 categories on the Explorer class ships. And in these categories, the square footage jumps significantly as far as the living area. So the square footage is going to be about 332 square feet, with the veranda also being larger, about 132 square feet of the veranda. Now you'll notice from the layouts here on the right that the bed is actually facing the veranda. This is a new design that we introduced with our Explorer class ships that our guests really love to just wake up in the mornings, kind of, still be in bed and be able to see outside because of that layout where the veranda is facing, the bed is facing the veranda. But as you can see, you walk into the suite, this accommodation, you do have both the standalone shower and a tub. So at this level, that's where you will receive the best of both worlds. And then you have a very spacious walk-in closet and a very spacious bedding area, as well as the European king-size beds that, of course, in all the accommodations that I've mentioned, Ted, those beds can also be split into 2 separate twin beds, okay? So the next couple of categories that I'm going to go over are what we call our name suites. So keep in mind that all of these categories also have butler service and all the inclusions that I mentioned, with the 4 logins per suite, the laundry, the one night pre. I'll highlight above and beyond within the categories, amenities wise, what you receive. But starting off with the Seven Seas suite, which, by the way, all of these categories, the bed is completely separated from the living area. So in the Seven Seas suite, this is about 577 square feet versus, for example, the penthouse that I just mentioned being 450 square feet. So about 120 square feet larger than a penthouse suite, with the veranda also being larger, the veranda being an additional up to 237 square feet. But as you can see from the image, this is the seating area of the Seven Seas suite. You have a spacious living area with, of course, a TV, a mini bar area here with another small table, and then you have the entrance. Now, you'll see from the layout that as you walk through the suite, you have a separate door for the bedroom, and you can lead into the balcony from either the bedroom or the living area, okay? And this accommodation also has a tub, as you can see here, as well as a standalone shower. So it's nice accommodation, but it is a 1 bedroom, 1 bath accommodation. Whereas if you go to the next category, and you'll notice up at the top, there's 3 names for this category. And the reason behind that is because all of our ships have a category that's named after the ship. So, for example, if you're on board the Grandeur, what you're seeing on the screen will be the Grandeur Suite. If you're sailing on the Splendor, this will be the Splendor Suite. And likewise, if you're sailing on the Explorer, this will be the Explorer Suite. One thing to keep in mind, a lot of times I get asked, Nicole, what's the difference between the category we just saw, Seven Seas Suite, and these Grandeur, Splendor, Explorer Suites? The main difference is that you have a half bathroom in this particular category. Where the other one is a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, this particular accommodation is a 1 bedroom, 1.5 bath accommodation. So this is a picture of the living area in the Grandeur, Splendor, and Explorer suites. Square footage is also 655, slightly larger, 655 square feet, with the veranda being about 260 square feet. And then you'll notice as you walk into if you follow my cursor, you walk into the suite, you have that half bathroom here to the left. Opens up to the living area, where you also have a mini bar here that you can't see on that layout. And then there is a large table, as you can see from the image here. Guests, like to have their room service there, or they can order, whatever. And if they're entertaining, it's a very spacious accommodation for that. And then there's a door here, as you can see, that leads into the bedroom, and then the full bath. Okay. This particular accommodation, above and beyond all the amenities that I've already mentioned, all of our guests will be welcomed with a bottle of champagne. But this one, the bottle of champagne in these accommodations was what we consider a premium champagne. So you'll have, for example, the Veuve champagne on this accommodation. We also offer once in-suite caviar service, and then you receive guaranteed reservations each night in our specialty restaurants, which is big as well. Moving along to the Grand Suite. So this is the third from the top of the accommodations on the Explorer class ship. This particular accommodations is going to range in square footage of living area. So it's going to range anywhere between 1,000 to 850 square feet, with the veranda being up to an additional 900 square feet. Now, the reason there's a range in square footage in this category is because it's going to vary depending on the location of the category, okay, of the suite itself. The veranda, if you have a grand suite towards the aft of the ship, the veranda is going to be larger versus the ones on the side of more midship, okay? This particular accommodation, the image that you see here is of the living area. Again, very spacious living area, beautifully in the decor. Another large table here as well. The bed in the Grand Suite, as well as the Explorer Splendor, there are accommodations that can convert to a pull-out bed. Have a large mini bar area, which, by the way, if you have a preferred scotch, if you have a preferred tequila, you can submit those requests to Ted in advance, and he can, communicate it with us to make sure that your suite is equipped with that particular a bottle of your choice, or bottles. And then you can see from the layout that, again, this particular accommodation is a 1 bedroom, two full baths on this one. Okay. So, but the bathroom is actually a shower on one of them, but the other bathroom is a tub and shower. And you see that the bed is again separated. And moving on to the second from the top, which is our signature suites. So these accommodations, as far as living area, they're going to range anywhere between about 1,100 square feet to 1,000 square feet, with the veranda being again up to 900 square feet. So significant space in the veranda. You can see here in the layout, Ted. I mean, you had asked, what kind of things you can find in the veranda. Again, no obstruction, because you can see that you have glass railings across.
Oh, yeah.
But in this case, you have one, two, three, four lounge chairs, a little seating area with a couch, and then a little dining room table out in the deck area. This is a 2-bedroom, 2 full bath accommodation. So very comfortable. Some of the signature suites on board for example, on the Explorer, there is a piano in the signature suites, but in our newest ship, the Grandeur, the signature suites just have a larger table dining area.
Priority online shore excursions and dining reservations. Where does that start?
So that starts from concierge suites and above.
And tell me
what that means.
Yes, tell me what that means.
So we of course include specialty restaurants, and all of our guests can make a reservation in advance at each of our specialty restaurants. So on the Explorer class ships, for example, there's 3 specialty restaurants. Technically in advance, they can have 3 specialty restaurant reservations, 1 at each of those restaurants. Now on our minimum categories, those specialty restaurant reservations open up 3 months prior to sailing. But guests booking our concierge suite or above accommodations, part of the benefit of that is they can make those reservations as far as 4 months prior to sailing. So you have a 30-day advance advantage versus somebody booked in those minimum categories. That's what that is, as well as shore excursions. So shore excursions open up at 6 months prior to sailing now. Guests that are booking our concierge suite or above can begin booking their shore excursions 7 months prior to sailing. But going back to your question on priority check-in on embarkation day, in these named suite categories, these distinctive categories, Seven Seas Suite, the Explorer Suite, Grandeur Suite, in this case, Signature Suite. Part of the benefit of those suites is that you can actually board your suite sooner than most guests that are booked in the categories below you. So in this case, you can begin boarding your suite will be ready at noon. Typically, suites are not ready until about 2, closer to 3. So in these accommodations, you can board your suites. We'll make sure that it's ready for you. And then also there's a separate check-in area. As you arrive at the port, there's a separate check-in area for guests that are booking these named suite categories.
Priority online shore excursions. I think that's very important. In other words, you're booking a month ahead of everyone else. Here's one of the things on shore excursions, which I find on booking with a couple cruise lines that include the excursions. You have to realize there's certain excursions that have limited ability. No cruise line can do anything about it. So if you have 1 month headway on everyone else, you're probably going to be able to get at least most or all excursions you get. The rest, they can't make space available. There's no space, correct?
That's a good point, Ted. I know that, when I talk about our brand, one of the key features is having those included shore excursions. But I think it's also important to know that we offer various shore excursions at any given port because it's impossible for us to be able to accommodate 750 guests in one shore excursion. So we kind of offer, different options to kind of spread everyone out. So there are some cases where you're trying to get into a shore excursion, it's already sold out or waitlisted. Now we try our best to reach out to the ground operator, try to obtain additional space, but there's only so much we can do if that ground operator does not have any more space available. So to your point, Ted, yes, having an amenity where you can book your shore excursions 30 days sooner than than most people on the ship, that's a huge, huge advantage in making sure that you do everything to prevent from waitlist situations in shore excursions. And then last but not least, the Regent Suite. Keep in mind there is 1 Regent Suite on each of our Explorer class ships. This particular accommodation, Ted, is 3,026 square feet of living area. That's almost double the size of my house, almost. And the veranda space is an additional 1,400 square feet. So it is a very spacious accommodation. It's a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath accommodation. As you can see here, on the right, this is the living area of the Regent Suite. But on the layout on the right, you'll notice that you walk into the Regent Suite here where my cursor is, the main door, and you walk right into the living area. There's a large dining room table. There's another little seating area heading right before you head out to each side of the veranda. And then when you go back into the suite, there's another small little seating area here. This is all glass windows that you can see out into the ocean from the interior of the room. There's a nice sized bar. You have the couch with the TV over here. Now, as you continue to walk through the suite, Ted, this particular room is a suite within the suite. So this would be considered the guest suite within the Regent Suite.
How many people can this room accommodate?
This one can accommodate up to 6 people
Okay.
with a pull-out couch here in the area. But what's wonderful about this accommodation is, let's say you do have 4 or 6 people. You have the main entrance that leads into the sharing living area of the suite, but then there's a separate entrance here that leads into just that second guest suite. So it creates just that privacy factor for guests that are staying in this suite within the suite. And then off to, when you go to the other side of the suite, this is where you have the main bedroom, where we have a spa inside. I know you've seen this, you've toured this particular suite quite a few times, Ted.
Stone, what do you call those stone things you lay on, like a spa?
The heated stoned lounge chairs within the, within
the 2 of them in there.
We have 2 of them here. This is the, and then you can see the very spacious veranda. But what's wonderful about this suite is, because of the location of the suite, when you are looking out these windows here in the living area, you actually have the same view as the captain, because you are directly above a bridge. So really cool location. And then of course, above and beyond all of our standard amenities that I've already included, you also receive things like a personal car and driver at every port. That's going to be included. You can receive unlimited spa packages, in your suite. You also have access to the study, which is a private dining room that only guests have in our Regent Suite have access to, where you can dine from any of the specialty, either Prime 7, our steakhouse, or Chartreuse, our French restaurant. So again, many amenities to go above and beyond our standard inclusions. I know that, Ted, when you book a Regent Suite for your clients, we actually have a Regent Suite concierge that you would work with, and her sole job is to curate specialized experiences ashore for our Regent Suite guests. So it's a lovely accommodation. I wanted to share something with you. Ted, do I have some time to go over? I want to just walk you through a virtual tour that we have available on our site.
Yeah, let me just say one thing.
Sure.
I think one of the best things about this, when I visited, I noticed there's a personal butler, but this is all he does, right? This room?
This is all he does, correct.
And that butler...
there's a suite attendant. So there's a butler and a suite attendant as well in the...
And by the way, the butler has a very high level on this cruise ship, because he's speaking on your behalf. So if you need anything, he's going to get it done. All you have to do is ask. That's just one thing, but it's like, what, it's amazing. I mean, you almost get lost in it going through this place, because look at all the different rooms. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and guests who are usually staying in this particular accommodation use it a lot to entertain, whether it be in the suite itself because there's plenty of space, or whether it's in the study, in that private dining room that they have access to. So I am going to wanted to make sure I kind of walk you through an area of our site, because a lot of our guests don't realize that we have this feature within our site. And of course, Ted, you're wonderful. You're very familiar with all of our accommodations, and you've toured all of our ships, so you're a wonderful resource as well. But I wanted to make sure that if you wanted to actually take a virtual tour of our suites, that you can actually do that within our site. So once you're in our regentrssc.com website, if you click here, put your cursor on menu, and then you click on our ships. Let's just go on the Splendor, which is an Explorer class ship. And then you scroll down, you're gonna see all the various categories that I just went over. And of course, if you click view details, it's gonna give you all the details I just shared with you. But you'll notice, and it's kind of hidden, you see virtual tour right there in each category, Ted?
Yeah.
When you click on that.
Right.
This is just.
That gives a much better idea what these rooms are like.
And you can actually click in.
Wow, look at that. Look at this. That's the big suite, the Regent suite?
Yes. So you can literally view, as I was walking you through it, I was showing you the layout. What I meant is, you keep walking, this is the suite within the suite, like the guest suite over here with its private entrance. Kind of go back here to the.
Look at that. So what you're saying, Nicole, is they don't need me because they can.
No, they absolutely need you. I mean, listen, the value that a travel advisor brings to the table is something that you can't, that no one can compete with. You guys have knowledge in the destination and in the right. There's a huge value that you bring, and I always say, you don't charge. But I want to show you something here. A lot of people think that, oh, if I go with a travel advisor, I'm going to be charged more. That's not the case. As a matter of fact, there's amenities, and sometimes you even have, special pricing depending on the sailing. So there's a huge advantage in using a travel advisor, and the majority of our business is still coming from a traditional travel agency. So, but I wanted to show you.
Show that bed again.
Also, if you're into artwork, there's a Picasso in the main bedroom of the Regent Suite, and then this is the.
Can I talk about that bed?
Yes.
What do you know about the bed? You talk.
So this bed is valued at about $150,000, and the reason it is, you're probably thinking, why does it cost so much? What's so special about this bed? It's actually handmade with horsehair. So it is, a lot of the royal families have this bed in their, this type of bed in their own homes, but it's very comfortable. I've sat on it when we've toured the room before, and but yes, that's what makes this bed so special. And then you have the this actually comes up here, and there's a TV that will come up and that will come back down when you're ready for bed.
It takes a year and a half to make this bed. It's brought in from London. Anyway.
Yeah.
It seems to scream to me, but you know what? You're not gonna have a better bed anywhere.
You're gonna sleep, exactly. You are gonna sleep in
with
comfort.
The best.
And then look at the closet, very spacious, posh. And then here's the spa within the suite. You can see. And this is just, I picked the Splendor suite. If you go into the Regent Suite of the Explorer or the Regent Suite of the Grandeur, again, the layout is the same, but the color scheme, the decor will change based on the ship. Yeah, so there you go. There's those heated stoned lounge. Won't let me go further, but there's one of them. So yeah, it's a nice little feature that I wanted to make sure that you knew in case you wanted to see a suite come to life.
How far in advance do you need to book that room?
So that's a good question. The ships, keep in mind, fill from top to bottom. So first, you're going to have these larger suites be the first ones to go. I would say anywhere at the very least, 12 to 15 months out, and you're cutting it short when you're booking a year in advance with these accommodations. I'll take that even further. We're getting ready to launch itineraries. So right now itineraries are out through March of 2027. In the summer, we will have itineraries out through March of 2028. If you want the Regent Suite for example, the Explorer does round trip Tokyo during cherry blossom season. If you want the Regent Suite in that collection, I would tell you, even though it's in 2028, I would tell you to book that when it comes out in June, because if you wait closer in, guarantee it won't be available especially for itineraries like that. Any of our special promotions or anything like that, you have access to, and you have advance notice, so you're well aware of where we need the help help in, and what special programs that we have or amenities for those. So yes, I mean, that's one thing that I always say, travel advisors will get you the best value. And of course, from when you look at their knowledge as well. So not only are they going to give you the best value available, but also, or the best pricing, but also the knowledge that you guys have is just second to none. So Ted, I just wanted to mention the class of ship that we featured today, the Explorer class ship. If anyone is interested, for example, in Alaska, our Seven Seas Explorer does our Alaska itineraries, our Asia itineraries. Then you have the Seven Seas Splendor, which will do our Mediterranean itineraries. Our newest ship, the Seven Seas Grandeur, if you're interested in sailing on her, she does the Caribbean, Northern Europe, the Med, as well as Canada and New England. We have some wonderful offers in place where we have additional 2-category upgrades, additional shipboard credits up to 2,000. We have reduced business class air promotions available at this moment as well. So be sure that you contact Ted so he can walk you through all the wonderful promotions that we have available in the marketplace.
Thanks. So please call me 954-290-8626. Okay?
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right.
Ted thanks you for watching and asks you to subscribe to Cruisin' with Ted on Facebook and YouTube.